A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Welcome to another edition of Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. My name is Cam Edwards. Happy Halloween to you. Yeah, November blowing in like, I don't know, a polar bear. It got cold here in Central Virginia. 84 on Sunday, 48 the high today, so we reverse things. I think we've got record high temperatures last week and record cold temperatures coming up this week. So, yeah, goodbye to the T-shirt weather and hello sweater weather. But we're going to be talking about something in the sunny climes of California today. A great decision by a U.S. District Court judge overturning, or rather granting an injunction. I guess I got a little ahead of myself. I think these laws are going to be officially overturned, but right now they're just stayed. Two bills in California signed by Governor Gavin Newsom that prohibit gun shows. One specifically at the county fairgrounds in Orange County. Another that more broadly bans gun shows from operating on all state-owned property across the state. And again, on Monday, a U.S. district judge in California granted an injunction refusing to stay his decision, which is even more important. And the plaintiffs prevailed on virtually every one of the counts that they raised. So we're going to be talking with attorney Tiffany Cheuvront from Michelle & Associates, who was one of the attorneys that worked on this lawsuit and continues to work on this lawsuit because, again, this is an injunction. This was not a trial decision. But we're going to delve into the details of, again, this fantastic decision here in just a moment or two. Before we get to that, however, Biden's America. Yeah, it's crushing us. You've got companies laying off tens of thousands of workers, one after the other. Americans working two jobs just to get by. Inflation pushing hardworking families to the brink. Just look at the price of lunch next time you go to the grocery store. And a digital dollar could be coming down the pipeline to completely destroy our way of life. The truth is, you need a plan. You know it, and I know it. And that's why you should call Goldco, so you can diversify your savings and investments with gold and silver before things get worse. They're a 6-time Inc. 5000 winner, 2022 Company of the Year, with thousands of 5-star reviews, and they've helped people like you and me place over $1 billion in gold and silver. They're offering up to $10,000 in free silver while supplies last, and if you call them today, qualified callers will get a free Ronald Reagan half-ounce silver coin. So don't wait. Call Goldco at 855-412-3806 today. That's 855-412-3806. And now let's get to our conversation with Tiffany Cheuvront. I want to get into some of the details here because what's interesting about this case is it wasn't just a Second Amendment case. There were First Amendment claims that were raised by the plaintiffs as well. And again, state of California got their rear end handed, their collective rear end, I guess, handed to them by the plaintiffs and the judge in granting this injunction. Let's get right to it. Here's our conversation with Tiffany Cheuvront from Michelle & Associates. Take a look and listen. Tiffany, thank you so much for coming on Cam and Company. I love it when we get a chance to talk about some good news, you know?
Me too. Yes, this is great. This is a good time to be talking about all things Second Amendment right now.
That's right. And there has been a lot of good news coming out of California with Judge Benitez's decision in Duncan, in Miller. And now you've got this case. This is B&L Productions versus Newsom, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. I mentioned this in our intro, but what's fascinating to me, one of the things that's fascinating me about this case is that this wasn't just a Second Amendment case. There were a lot of First Amendment claims. And you all prevailed on all of them in your request for an injunction, right? I mean, it was a clean sweep.
That's right. Yes. We were thrilled to get this order for an injunction. The judge sided with us on First Amendment, Second Amendment, and that includes right to assembly, right to speech, commercial speech, all of those things that are wrapped up in the First Amendment. And then we were able to prevail also on the Second Amendment. So it's a great day for California.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the judge refused to grant a stay. So this is now in effect, right? Crossers of the West Gun Show. In fact, I think the judge said, as soon as Crossers of the West Gun Show reaches out to Orange County officials or any other, officials in the state of California about getting a space at the fairgrounds, they're supposed to provide that space at the first available opportunity, right?
That's right. This is in place now. The judge refused to stay the injunction when the state asked for it, which has kind of been their mantra on all these Second Amendment cases. They know they're going to get enjoined and they want to immediately stay it. And this judge said, no, we're not going to do that. And we've already been getting emails from people across the state who have been emailing their own local agencies there that run the gun shows and asking and sending them the decision and saying, okay, now we want a gun show back. So it's really exciting that people are getting involved and emailing their organizations there and in their local communities and saying, we want this back.
Absolutely. And so, let's get into the background of this a little bit, because there were two laws that were being challenged here, right? One was a ban specifically on gun shows at the Orange County Fairgrounds, but the other was this broader ban that said no gun shows can take place on any state-owned property, right?
Well, actually, it goes back a little further than that. We have three laws that were being challenged, all this during the same time period. And it goes back probably 5 or 6 years where we were even at these fairgrounds telling them, you can't do this. This is unconstitutional. And we won in Del Mar, which is in San Diego. We won that one. And the state actually settled with us and said, we don't want to fight this anymore. And then we started getting these state laws where the same legislators that tried to push this one ban in Del Mar started trying to push it across the state. So we actually have a ban in Del Mar, which is AB 893, separate case. It's still BNL v. Newsom, but it's a separate case. And then we have this one, which is two more laws brought on by Senator Min, who went after Orange County and the state as a whole. And so this injunction is against the Orange County law, specifically for that fairgrounds, and the statewide ban as a whole.
Okay, so this would encompass then Del Mar, right? This would encompass.
It's kind of interesting. It does not, because while the state law is, kind of gets confusing here. While the state law is enjoined, there is this separate Del Mar law that is up on appeal in the Ninth Circuit, and we're fighting that. So we're fighting two separate battles here. And so the Del Mar law is still not enjoined. You still can't have shows there at the Del Mar Fairgrounds, but you can have shows everywhere else. So it's very confusing, just like all California gun law.
Yeah, right. They don't make it easy to understand
Right.
for litigators or for gun owners. You talk about Dave Min, and this was interesting, I thought, because one of the arguments from the state of California was, well, look, I mean, we're not trying to harm anybody's Second Amendment rights. We're not trying to chill anybody's speech. This is all about public safety, right? But the judge quoted Dave Min speaking on the floor of the legislature saying, we're going to ban all gun shows in the state, right? The public safety argument wasn't really present. It was clearly targeted at this particular type of activity, which the judge noted as well. The legislative committee findings were that gun shows don't pose any inherent public safety risk, right? I mean, in California, whether we like this or not, every transfer of a firearm has to go through a background check. There's a 10-day waiting period. So no guns are actually changing hands at gun shows, right? You might be able to say, okay, I want to buy that gun. Let me give you my money. I'll fill out the paperwork. I pass the background check. You're still not walking out with that gun.
That's right. There's no gun show loopholes in California. You can make an offer, you can put down your deposit, but you have to wait 10 days and go to the store where the firearms are actually sold to pick up your firearm. No one's getting firearms at the gun shows. And what's interesting about Senator Min's comments through the whole process of going through and legislating these bills, he never once could come up with any direct threat to the communities from California gun shows. All the statistics that he put out there were from other states or even across the border in Mexico. He never once was able to say there are these kinds of issues happening at California gun shows. And this is something we had already been through in the Del Mar litigation previously, because they tried to say that, oh, there's all these dangers to lawful people coming and purchasing firearms at the gun show. And they even tried to say, oh, well, look here, there's been theft and there's been all these things at the gun shows. But it was at the property where the gun shows were held, but it was a quilting show where the theft happened. And we were like, you can't equate any of these crimes with people actually at the gun shows. So it's been really interesting how they've tried to form this argument that it's a public safety issue. And a lot of this comes from the anti-gun groups in California that are pushing, these politicians down this road. And it's just not true. What they're saying is just absolutely not true. And it's really fortunate for us that the judge saw through that.
Absolutely. And again, I think it's important for gun owners to understand that this is the end goal, right? It's not about closing the gun show loophole. That's been closed in California. It's about going after your ability to acquire a firearm. It's about your ability to interact with gun owners. Again, that gets back to the First Amendment component of this, right? So one of the arguments was that this violates freedom of expression. This violates not only the commercial speech of the vendors, but again, this is going after, quote unquote, gun culture, right? This is about trying to stifle the views of Second Amendment supporters. And what did the judge have to say about that?
Yeah, well, he agreed with us. He said absolutely that the when you're talking about speech, it's not absolute. I mean, there are restrictions that you can put on speech, but in this case, by banning the gun shows, even though they said that that's not what this was, they were banning the sale of firearms, ammunition, and precursor parts. They essentially stopped the gun shows, and they stopped that community coming together, and that community was important, and it's a part of the people that attend the gun shows. And so he absolutely saw this as a violation of First Amendment right to assembly, people coming together, talking about the issues, talking about their government, talking about learning about firearms. And so he definitely sided with us on that part beyond the commercial speech part of it, which is just the, offer and acceptance of a firearm transaction. He said, no, there's way more to this, which is what we've been arguing all along. The gun culture is important. And it's important to the next generation because people bring their grandkids and their kids to these shows, and they show them that the safety of firearms, and there's actually training that happens at these gun shows, and you learn while you're there. And so it was really great that he saw through the state's arguments that, oh, we're not trying to ban gun shows, we're not trying to stop these people from coming together. They absolutely were, and that's the way it's been from the very beginning. That's been their intent.
And the Second Amendment arguments, the state again says, well, look, I mean, even if we're banning gun shows, people are free to purchase firearms elsewhere, right? So what's the big deal? Why can't we ban the ability to buy a firearm at this particular location, or at least start the process of buying a firearm? The judge applied the Bruin Test, right? The text, history, and tradition basically said there's no laws anywhere in the, either at the time of the ratification of the Second Amendment or the 14th Amendment. Yes, you've got laws that are, maybe regulating where firearms can be carried or things of that nature, but nothing like this sort of blanket prohibition on transactions or the gathering of gun owners that California tried to put in place here.
Right. And Senator Min actually came out right after the laws were passed and said, we're the first one to ever do this. So that kind of, kiboshed his attempts at fighting back against the Bruin decision, because Bruin, you have to have this historical analysis, and it's just not there. What's interesting about this case versus the Del Mar case, as well as in Del Mar, which is the one that's up on appeal at the Ninth Circuit right now, that court did not allow additional briefing on Bruin when it came down. They just went forward and said, no, we're ruling against the gun owners. We're going to rule in favor of the state. And so we've appealed that. This court in Orange County went through the process of, once Bruin came down, we did additional briefing and went before the court and, argued our case under Bruin for the Second Amendment issues. And so I think that made a huge difference. And that was the proper way to do it. When you have a case as big as Bruin come down, the court should say, we need additional briefing on this. So we've actually been waiting on this ruling since April of this year. It's been a long wait, but the court did their due diligence and looked at everything appropriately.
So let's talk about the Ninth Circuit for a second here. Have oral arguments been held in the Del Mar case?
They have not yet.
Okay.
We've briefed, and we're going through the process of the schedule on that. So
okay, is there a chance that these cases are going to get rolled in together?
Well, we actually asked for the Ninth Circuit to stay appeal. We appealed, and then we asked them to stay it while we waited for the Orange County case to catch up, because we assume at some point the Orange County case is going to be appealed by the state to the Ninth Circuit. And the Ninth Circuit said, no, we're not going to hold off. You have to continue forward with the Del Mar, which was really unusual because now we have these two cases that are in conflict with each other. But the more we kind of think about it, the Del Mar case is only about the Del Mar Fairgrounds. It does not have the state provision for the whole entire state law like the Orange County case does. Orange County works with Orange County and the entire state. So they may be too different to combine. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But we're looking at all those options. And right now, we don't know for sure if the state will appeal this. We're assuming that they will because they usually do. But we don't have an indication of that yet. So.
Okay. All right. Well, we don't want to put the cart before the horse here, but so I will hold off on asking questions about what you think the Ninth Circuit might do with this case. We'll wait until see if this case is officially appealed, and then we'll have you back on to address that. But in the meantime, if as of right now, these laws are enjoined from being enforced, right? So Crossroads of the West, and as you say, all of these other vendors, if you're in a local community and you want to have a gun show at your county fairgrounds, you can do so, right? This can start going forward right now. Do you have any idea when we might actually see a gun show take place?
I don't know. Like I said, we've already started getting emails in from across the state of people emailing their county fairgrounds saying, "Hey, we want a gun show." And I am sure that the promoters are already on top of it and, asking for dates. The judge said that the county fairgrounds have to provide available dates immediately to the promoters. So that means if they ask for a date, in December of this year, and they could get a show together for it, we could conceivably see gun shows in December. So it just depends on how quickly they can get dates and how quickly they can get a show pulled together. But it's really exciting. There's so many people that go to these gun shows, and it was really disappointing when they were banned and stopped. And it's just it's part of the culture in California. People go to gun shows.
Yeah. Absolutely. Listen, I've only been to California a couple of times in my life, but one of the times I went to California, I went to a California gun show. And I was, you think of California as this, and the laws are incredibly restrictive, but they've not been able to kill off gun ownership. They've not been able to kill off the Second Amendment community, no matter how hard they've tried to obliterate that culture of lawful gun ownership. And I was surprised at how many people were in attendance. I was surprised at how many families I saw walking around the fairgrounds. And it was a great, great experience. So I'm fingers crossed that Californians get a chance to enjoy these experiences again very, very soon. And again, Tiffany, thank you for all of your efforts. Chuck Michelle, Anna Bevere, all of you just did such a fantastic job. I would encourage folks to read the entire opinion because, like I said, it was a clean sweep. And just again, congratulations on an excellent, excellent job defending our Second and First Amendment freedoms.
Thank you. It's really exciting. Like I said, it's an exciting time to be involved in this kind of work. So we're very pleased right now.
Well, we are too here in Virginia, I can tell you, and looking forward to continuing the conversation here very soon. Thank you so much to Tiffany for joining us on the program. And of course, Chuck Michelle, Tiffany Cheuvront, Anna Bevere, all of the attorneys working on this case. Thank you for your efforts. And many future successes ahead here with this litigation. Right now, let's turn our attention to today's Armed Citizen story, our good deed of the day, and our recidivist report. We'll start there with a case out of Augusta, Georgia, where a shooting victim is wondering why was the man who shot her, or at least who is accused of shooting her, why was he out and not behind bars where he should have been? Augusta-Aiken TV station WRDW is reporting more on the criminal history of a guy named Dion Hamilton. He's accused of shooting a mother in her front yard in Augusta, Georgia in broad daylight. Now that victim again wants to know why Hamilton was out of jail in the first place. The woman says, I can't drive, can't take my son places, can't even run after my son, let alone walk after him. And she wonders, why was he out with multiple offenses? My child's with me. My child is traumatized. How is this man let out? According to local authorities, Dion Hamilton in 2018, 5 years ago, was sentenced to 15 years in prison for assault and a weapons charge. After serving just 4 years of that 15-year sentence, he was set free. and was ordered to spend the remainder of his sentence on probation. The problem is that Hamilton is accused of violating his probation. In July, he was charged with simple battery and family violence. And rather than being returned to prison or being kept behind bars because he posed a danger to the community, he was let loose. They spoke with a local attorney, Sam Nicholson. He said it's hard to tell if someone dropped the ball. He said it appears he committed a new offense while he was on probation that may possibly cause his probation to be revoked after a probation revocation hearing. It's not clear to me if probation knew about that. He looked at some of the charging documents that News 12 showed him. He said he doesn't know how Hamilton slipped through the cracks. He says they couldn't get bonded out on that charge. He says that would come up flagged. Okay, you're on probation. You don't get out. And then probation will be notified that, hey, we got one of your guys in here. They would then file the petition to revoke his probation. I'm not sure how he got out of that now that I think about it, said Nicholson. Yeah, well, apparently a lot of unanswered questions. Why was he out? Among them, we don't have the answer to that. But again, here you've got somebody, frankly, 15-year prison is turning into 4 years behind bars. That's problematic enough. Then to add, insult to the injury suffered by this woman who was allegedly shot by Hamilton, even after he committed another offense earlier this year, or is alleged to have committed another offense earlier this year. Again, probation not revoked. Apparently, no hearing was held, and he was released on bond, or maybe even his own recognizance. We don't even know. Now, he's back behind bars, but of course, this is one crime too late. Today's armed citizen story from, Coffee County, Tennessee, Manchester, Tennessee. Home invasion Monday morning, resulting in at least one intruder being in custody, according to local authorities. I guess he was shot and is in custody. There you go, a twofer. The sheriff's office in Coffee County says the intruder shot by the homeowner during this home invasion in the Beech Grove area of Manchester on Monday morning. Initially, the county sheriff's office said it was possible that there were other suspects, but have since clarified that they do believe there was only one intruder responsible for this home invasion. As of Monday evening, the intruder remained at a local hospital undergoing surgery and now recovering, I guess, from the surgery to the wounds he suffered while trying to invade that individual's home. The investigation does remain ongoing, but at this point appears to be a clear-cut case of self-defense. We'll try to give you more details if and when they become available. Finally, in the right place at the right time, willing to do the right thing, a group of bikers in Florida who helped keep the streets safe by forcing a suspected drunk driver to the side of the road, boxing him in until authorities could arrive. Happened in Tavernier, Florida. Toribio Simon Mendoza, arrested, charged with DUI, 3 counts of an enhanced DUI due to the fact that he had kids in his car, as well as possession of marijuana, in addition to 2 moving traffic violations. The 30-year-old from Homestead, Florida, was arrested in Tavernier on Saturday afternoon, according to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, after a group of motorcyclists boxed him in. They apparently spotted Mendoza driving recklessly through the town of Isla Morada. And according to deputies, multiple witnesses stated they were in fear for the safety of other motorists, the passengers in the suspect sedan, and the suspect due to his driving behavior. So again, the motorcyclist kind of surrounded the car, slowed down. Thankfully, the driver didn't try to plow through the motorcyclist. He slowed down as well, eventually moved off to the side of the road. When deputies arrived, they said Mendoza appeared to be intoxicated. There was an adult woman in the car alongside a 10-year-old and 2 3-year-olds. The woman not arrested. Mendoza booked on $36,000 bond for the variety of charges. And again, the motorcyclists in the right place at the right time, willing and able to do the right thing to help take a suspected drunk driver off of the road, and did so without, causing harm or danger to anyone else. So thank you, random motorcyclists, anonymous motorcyclists, for your very, very good deed. All right, that is going to do it for this edition of Bearing Arms Cam & Company. I want to thank you for being a part of the program as always. Hope that you enjoy the rest of your Halloween and all the trick-or-treaters. We don't get those here in the country now. Our little town is doing Halloween on Main Street, so we'll probably go up there and hand out some candy later this afternoon. But we don't get visitors to the house, and That's okay by me. But I hope that you have a great Halloween. We'll see you back here tomorrow. We head into November, just a week away from Election Day, and a lot to talk about. We'll get you covered on all the latest Second Amendment news and information. Don't forget to check out BarrionArms.com in the meantime. And I would always encourage you, do every day, to become a VIP or VIP Gold member. We've got our Wednesday live chat with Hot Air's Ed Morrissey coming up for our VIP Gold members on Wednesday afternoon, 1:30 Eastern. But each and every day, we're giving you exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, news stories, analysis, opinions that matter. Just like your support, all you have to do is go to BarrionArms.com/subscribe, use the promo code GUNRIGHTS, and you can get a significant savings on your VIP or VIP Gold membership. And we do thank you for your support. Enjoy the rest of your 2A Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, be well, be safe, and be free.